Welcome to the Darksomnium. Here are 6 stories from the Let's Not Meet subreddit, featuring Nico, Wonderdust, and Lillie C. Nation. All music and sound design is done by the Darksomnium. If you'd like to listen to any of the music that I composed for these narrations, you can do so on my second YouTube channel. So, those of you who watch Rick and Morty already have a good hint of what the fuck transpired that night from the title. Just to preface everything, I'm a 26-year-old male who currently lives in Richmond, Virginia. I would never have expected this to happen to me, but hey, here I am. It's a long one, so bear with me. My friends and I decided to go to a little brewery in a nice part of town, sipping beers and playing cards against humanity. Nothing crazy. I went up to the bar to order another beer, and my friend, walking past me, jokingly shoulder bumped me, and I gave him a nudge back. Here's where things started to get weird. King Jellybean was male, late 30s, tall and average looking, except for his dead eyes, saw this and approached. Why did he just do that? Oh, that? He's just my friend, and he's just messing around. Oh, are you going to do anything about it? Clearly fucking joking, I say. Oh, don't worry, I'm gonna kill him later. Can you tell it to me in a poem? I don't remember what I said, but I actually word vomited something out after realizing he was dead serious. Oh, I can respect that. And then he extended his hand for a handshake. I could already tell this guy was fucking Looney Tunes, but I was like, man, fuck it. So I shook his hand. Let me tell you, this guy had an iron grip, like scary strong. He held onto my hand for a little too long, so I wriggled my hand free and decided that maybe I should get his name, just as a precaution in case anything goes down. So, friend, what's your name? I tried again. Nothing. So I just smiled and walked back to my table. The hairs on the back of my neck were a little tingly, but I figured I was just being paranoid. Once I got back to my table, I saw out of my peripherals that he was still watching me. I decided to tell my friends about this little encounter, but they brushed it off as nothing. So again, I just went, fuck it. A little while later, there was a break in our game, so a couple of us decided to drain the main vein. My friends and I were walking past the bar to the bathroom in the back. Sure enough, King Jellybean stepped directly in front of me and insisted that I shake his hand again. So, like an idiot, I did. I tried to make small talk during the creepy handshake, but again, the dude just mumbled some things. By this point, my friend had already pissed and was now exiting the bathroom. As he walked by, he heard me say something along the lines of, Alright, you're hurting my hand now. I've got to pee, so I'm going to go. He started to walk back to the bathroom as soon as I got my hand free. So instead, I just walked back to the table because I didn't want to be near him. My friends were now aware of him and were equally creeped out. 10 minutes go by. I really had to pee now, seeing as I've been holding it. I told my friends this, and one of them jokingly said, Watch out. He might be waiting for you in the bathroom. A little light clicked on in my brain, and we looked around the room. He wasn't there. We were sitting by the only exit, and definitely didn't see him go, so now I'm really freaked out. I asked one of them to come with me to the bathroom. Random note, there was only 2 unisex bathrooms meant for one person each. So I walked to the closer one. The light was off, with the door slightly ajar. I nudged it open a few feet and didn't see anything inside. Just darkness, with a vague silhouette of the bathroom fixtures. Still, something just felt off. I turned to my friend. Dude, I don't know, it just feels off. My friend started saying something I don't know what he said because out of my peripheral vision, my nightmare happens. The door opens and he's fucking standing there in the dark doorway, alone, staring at me with the creepiest smile I've ever fucking seen. Just to paint a mental picture, the guy was standing alone in a bathroom with the goddamn lights off, just waiting for me to walk in for over 10 minutes. According to my friends, who were watching this across the room, my reaction was to just yell, "Oh, hell no!" and proceeded to make a beeline back to the table while shouting, "Nope, no, nope, 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 nope." I wish I could say that we confronted him or called the cops, but I was honestly too freaked out. We just grabbed our coats and got the fuck out. Who knows what the hell would have happened if I'd gone in, or if another person did. Luckily, I don't have that answer, so all I can say is, let's not meet ever, ever, ever again. Fucking trapdoor spider king jelly looking motherfucker. Update. The brewery heard about this and contacted me right away. I went in and we were able to ID the guy. Hooray! The appropriate actions and measures are being taken.
Apologies in advance if this isn't the right subreddit. I just need to get it off my chest. Also, I'm up in the break room on my cell phone, so grammar and formatting may not be the best. For those of you who don't know, I'm a fairly young female. In fact, I'm the youngest assistant manager at this grocery store. I'm also rather petite. In our store, there is a small kiosk that sells cell phones and various services related to that. There are several different guys who rotate through this kiosk. One in particular, Bob, has weirded me out from the get-go. As soon as training was over, and I started running the front of the store alone, mid-October, the comments started. Every time I walked by the kiosk, "Hey babe, gorgeous, baby, cutie, when are you going to ditch that boyfriend and come on a date with me? I can take you for a ride in my truck, if you know what I mean." He also stared at me whenever he got the chance. It didn't matter if I was in customer services, the pharmacy, at the register, wherever. If I was in the front, he was staring at me. Since about December, it's gotten physical as well. He's tried holding my hand, purposely brushing me as he walked by, and playing with my hair as I counted registers down at the end of the night. Within the last couple of weeks, he's also snuck up behind me and grabbed my waist a couple of different times, and has gotten close enough that I could feel his breath on the back of my neck. He's also started showing up frequently when I work. I'd say that about 80% of my last shifts, he's been there, staring, skulking. Despite telling him multiple times to leave me alone, he hasn't gotten the message, and now, he's back. I had my back to the doors, and all of a sudden I felt hands on my waist and lips on my neck. I freaked out and told another supervisor to cover the front, and I'm hiding in my break room, trying not to cry.
A year or so ago, I found myself alongside my now fiancé, the victim of the horror stories I love so much. I've been a fan of horror stories since I was a kid, but after these events, it took me a while to enjoy them again. Back in 2015, my boyfriend of 3 years and I broke up. I essentially had mental health issues I was struggling to accept whilst we were together, so we took some time apart. During the few months, I modeled. some standard modeling, and some of the nude variety. I even had a Tumblr for behind-the-scenes activities that I'm not proud of, and that's now gone. I got paid well, so I thought nothing of it, until I got contacted by some fans. These fans were creepy to the point that they bombarded me with comments about wanting to have sex with me, by force if necessary. This continued for a while, until my ex, scared these guys might figure out personal information about me, white-knighted me to defend me from their pursuits. Big mistake. To protect me from their virtual threats and comments that I was brushing off as nothing since, hell, it was Tumblr. He used his personal account, the account that had his real name, my real name, pictures of us in the city we lived in. He hadn't used it in years, so he didn't remember any of this being on his profile. He never knew it caused the shit it did. But, like the creeps they were, my fans tried to use this information to meet up with me. When I refused, it all took a turn. With messages and Snapchats alongside spam on other platforms, I just started to ignore them, hoping it'd calm down. My ex received a lot of the usual death threats that ensue with white knighting on Tumblr. We were both starting to get our lives in better places, until I got a message that scared me to the bone. The message contained the name of where my ex worked. He hadn't worked there in a long time at this point, maybe a month or so, but he didn't broadcast his job. Only friends and family knew he had it. And apparently, so did my fans. When I tried to make it seem like I knew nothing, to prevent any further threats, they responded with, "We could just wait around for him until after his shift," before sending me a picture of his work location. "Will you meet us now?" I pleaded and begged for them to leave him be, scared they'd actually do something, for them to leave him alone. I thought it had worked, but they never responded. After making sure my ex was okay, I tried to calm down for a few days. Then came the next photo message. The bus stop my ex used to get home in the center of our city. I contacted him to find out where he was, and luckily, he was on his way home a few minutes prior to that photo. I assumed they wouldn't know where to go, even if they got the bus, and decided to leave it at that. I didn't want to scare my ex. I still loved him. I didn't want him endangered because of my stupid, naive actions. He was probably suspicious at that point, but he never said a word to me about it. A day or so later, I received a new photo message. They were on the road near his house. That made me lose it. I texted my ex, got him to lock his doors and windows. He wasn't the only one home. He lived with his family at this point, the people I used to live with, who I lived with for 2 years prior to our breakup. Not knowing at this point how they got the information, we were both honestly scared for our lives. That night, I got an unexpected Skype call from my ex. He explained to me how he'd had enough, how they told him they'd hacked into his phone and my laptop to track us down, and how, if he didn't end his life, how they'd revealed to my family and friends my private life. He apologized as he started swallowing a bunch of pills before apologizing to me for everything and hanging up. I freaked. No one expects that. I truly believed that my ex had gone to kill himself until I received a text from his old phone, a number he hadn't used in years. He told me how he was okay and how he had to fake his death to keep them away. Even to the point of messaging these fans, telling them that I was going to the police and how I'd track them down, how they'd killed my baby's father. I told them I was pregnant to see if that'd get them to calm down. To no avail. They apologized for my loss and appeared to disappear after that. Until the end of last year, my ex and I, after this disaster, got back together since we both knew living without each other wasn't an option. We got engaged and started looking for a place to live. Usual adult decisions. One day, in October, I got a message on my personal Instagram. we're still watching. Since that point, I've made sure we've been careful about what we post. We've changed devices and got rid of our webcams. And to my fans, if you ever see this, let's never meet.
I'm a 25-year-old female and have been living with my boyfriend for the last 6 years. This was about 4 years ago. I was online a lot and still am. I meet a lot of cool people. Many have had rough backstories, but I always offered a listening ear and tried to support them. I'm going to mention that I have autism, and I can be pretty naive, and sometimes I don't recognize certain bad situations right away. I met a 24-year-old guy from Australia. I'm from Europe. Who had just broken up with his girlfriend, that he said was emotionally unstable, and it ended with her wanting to kill herself and him not being able to handle it anymore. I talked to him a lot about it. I tried to help him cope with the situation. We started to game together online, and I started to think of him as a friend. But after a while, I started to notice he kind of acted like I was his girlfriend. I glanced over it, because he knew I had a boyfriend, and it might have just been kindness, and I mistook it. I'm famous for being oblivious to that kind of stuff. He started to tell me that I should break up with my boyfriend, going on long tangents and writing me emails how my boyfriend was like his ex-girlfriend, that he abused me mentally and physically, that he was raping me, and that he was going to kill me one day, which was all completely absurd. I kept explaining that to him. After a while, it was obvious that he indeed thought of me as his new girlfriend. He made it clear we were going to spend the rest of our lives together, and that he would make sure of it. He was convinced that me telling him to stop and leave me alone was all orchestrated by my boyfriend, and I was actually being held hostage. Luckily, he didn't know my full name or where I lived, or so I thought. I started getting messages from random accounts with pictures of people bloodied up, saying this is going to happen, all with his name on the pages itself. This went on for a while. I begged him to stop, but he kept pushing. I had blocked him, but he kept making new accounts to get in contact with me. I decided just to delete my account on that site altogether and not be there anymore, and I hoped it would go away. But then I suddenly started getting messages on Facebook. I never told him my full name, and even then, I made sure my Facebook is extremely private, with a family nickname, and I only had other family members on there, because most lived far away. My boyfriend didn't even have a Facebook account. And like I said before, I kept my full name and location to myself. He made about 150 pages and profiles, completely directed to me, with pictures of people killing themselves, telling me he was going to kill himself, complete with overlays and banners of "This is your fault." It seemed like he had made it his full-time day job to send me messages on different platforms. He even found stuff like my YouTube account and followed me around there. Eventually, he started sending receipts of his school books that he had sold of his current school year, and later 1 plane ticket to the airport where I actually lived close to, and 2 back to Australia. He kept sending me proof, like of him moving out of his apartment and putting his stuff in storage. He told me he was coming to save me from my boyfriend, who had kept me hostage, and that he was going to kill him and take me back to Australia, so I could be saved. He had gotten rid of all ties he had, quit school, quit his job, so we could have a blank slate, telling me we would have to live under the radar for a while. All the while he kept sending me pictures as proof of doing these things, because he loved me and wanted to show it. By now, I had blocked every Facebook account with his unfortunately extremely common name, and basically deleted every other online account I had. Even though a lot were under different names, he found me everywhere. Eventually the day came where he was taking pictures at the airport, which he was posting on my Facebook wall, and him in the plane with logos I immediately recognized as my country's official airline. He began talking about the actual house I lived in, which was kind of a strange place to live. I lived on an industrial area in a maintenance apartment inside a huge empty building with only one other office. I was on the lease as a maintenance person. That was purely for legal reason, because the owner thought he could make some money on the side. The whole building was open to me, and there weren't any people living remotely nearby. He definitely couldn't have known I lived there. He started messaging me about how perfect that whole setup was for his plans. My boyfriend was aware of everything that had happened by then, and thought it was best if maybe we'd sought out the help of the police to give us some advice. But of course, they couldn't do anything, and suggested that if we were scared, we better just go somewhere else. And we decided to go stay at my parents'. We went back the next day, since we both had school and work, but saw the police cars in front of the building. The owner informed us that someone had broken in. This person had tried to go into the office next to our apartment, and they had an alarm system that went off and alerted the cops. At that point, I wanted to know what was going on and if he had tried to break in, since that was my first guess. It wasn't hard contacting him since he already sent me multiple messages again on Facebook from several different accounts. My boyfriend contacted him, and the guy agreed to have a webcam chat. And when he turned his cam on, I immediately recognized a hallmark of our city from the window behind him. I silently freaked out, not letting it be known I was present. My boyfriend then spent more than 7 hours talking to him. The guy was furious and still certain my boyfriend was going to kill me, when nothing that could change his mind. After more than 7 hours with my normally monk-calm boyfriend getting pretty annoyed at this point because of the most stupid reasoning, the guy copy-pasted our whole chat conversation and spun them in crazy ways. The guy was saying he was disgusted and starting to throw out profanities toward him about me. Basically saying that if I was so adamant on staying with him, I deserved what my boyfriend was going to do to me, and wouldn't mourn me, because I had ruined my own, our kids, and our life together. I only heard from him one more time after that. A short video of him being in the hospital saying he had tried to kill himself, and it was all my fault, and I was going to bring darkness over the earth instead of light, like you promised. He said stuff like that often, and other weird spiritual promises he said I made. I got scared again for a while, but it got silent after that. Even though it was years ago, I'm still afraid the guy isn't over me and will come after me. But as far as I know, his parents had him locked in a nursing home for the mentally ill. I got this info a year later when his older brother finally responded to my Facebook messages to him telling me to please speak to his brother. I got this info a year later when his older brother finally responded to all my Facebook messages, me trying to tell him to please speak to his brother, because he was not okay. Stupid Facebook spam folder. So, Mr. Crazy Guy, please, let's not ever meet again.
About 2 years ago, I posted on this subreddit about a man named Bob who was harassing me at work. He'd follow me, try to touch my hair, waist, anything he could get away with. Shortly after I posted, I was offered a promotion at the same chain, but across town. I gladly accepted, hoping I could lose this creep and move on with my life. For a while, everything was good. I made my new bosses aware of the situation as a precaution. They chose to continue having someone walk me to and from my car, especially when working the night shift. Then, about a year after I started, the calls began. My customer service clerk would answer, transfer the call to me. They said he only ever asked for the manager. And when I picked up, the caller would hang up as soon as I finished my introduction. Annoying, but whatever. Lots of kids played on pranks like that. The calls progressed. It started with him not saying anything, then changed to, "Hey baby, do you miss me yet?" Not wanting to show whoever that this was acceptable behaviour, I just hung up. Then the calls changed. They got more menacing. "Hey Sugar Lips, I like your new car. Did you think you could get rid of me that easily? That's a cute top you're wearing. Bet it'd be real easy to rip off of you. I know you think you're invincible, running to your bosses. They can't stop me when you're alone." Soon after that, I saw his very distinct truck in the parking lot across the street. There's no way it wasn't him. My bosses insisted that it was a coincidence, and we couldn't do anything since he wasn't on our property. It didn't matter though. Every time I walked to or from my car, the truck would be across the street. I knew it was Bob. But he had gotten smarter. Our cameras didn't reach far enough to see him. If you looked at the person in the driver's seat, you couldn't make out any features behind the hat, glasses, and phone. I could always feel his stare, peering through the windshield. Pictures started showing up in the store's mail. At first, it was of me standing by my car, sitting with someone outside at break, or me walking to or from the store. We still couldn't officially blame Bob, though I'm sure he was the one doing it. It escalated to pictures of me counting tills, standing in the store, or interacting with customers. All the shots that he'd have to be within 20 to 30 feet of me to get, but we couldn't find him on the security cameras. I became paranoid, and I couldn't get any work done for fear of seeing him next. My bosses were wonderful, and moved me to the back room, where I was away from any and all customers. One final shot came through. A picture of me in the back store, operating our forklifts with "Miss you, Sugar Lips" across the back of it. Last August, I was accepted and started classes at my dream school, 2 hours away from home. I quit my beloved job and moved, hoping that this would finally give me some freedom. A week ago, I started seeing what I think is Bob's truck, rolling through campus. Today, I found a note on my car, with a picture of me talking with my boyfriend. The note said, "Miss me, Sugar Lips. Don't worry. Even he can't protect you."
Crazy redneck driver. This incident happened a few years ago, but I think about it every time I drive. I was about 19 and in my second year of college. I was running a little behind for a literature test and was in a hurry to leave the house. Now I live only 10 minutes from the college, so it wasn't that big of a deal. At the end of my road is a 4-lane intersection. Nothing real dangerous, but you do need to pay attention to what you are doing. I get to the intersection and there's no one coming, so I pull out. Now imagine my surprise when a red pickup truck flies past me, pulls in front of me, and stops suddenly. Not just brakes, but stops in the road and begins to get out of his truck yelling all sorts of profanity at me, while holding something I could not make out in his hand. This has never happened to me before, so I have no idea what to do at this point. I punch the accelerator and I take off in the other lane. The red truck is behind me, following as close as he can. Then he switches lanes, and he is next to me, weaving like he's going to crash into me. I brake, then he brakes for me to catch up to him. This happens over and over until I slide into the college parking lot. I leave my car on, and I run into the security office, shaking and crying uncontrollably. It took over an hour for me to calm down and tell my dad and the police officers what happened. My dad took me home, trying to comfort me with his soft words, trying to explain that it was just another crazy driver. Well, later that day, my mom decided to take me out shopping to make me feel better. And yes, my mom was driving. While on my way, I look out the window, and I see the crazy red truck guy next to us, staring at me. I begin freaking out and crying hysterically, pointing at him. My mom yelled at me to write down his license plate number as he drives past us. We drove home immediately and called the police officer back and told him about what just happened. About 30 minutes later, he came to the house and began talking to us about the situation and what he had found out from the license plate number. The crazy red truck guy had a drug problem and had been involved in 2 other cases just like mine. Now, the only difference was the 2 other girls went missing and have never been found. The officer tries to reassure me that I was safe, that I was a smart girl by driving to the security station at college. He went on talking, but my mind raced as he talked. What might have happened to me? What could have happened to me? I started thinking, am I really safe? I mean, he is still out there. Is he following me? Waiting to get me like those other girls? But I can't think that way anymore. He can't be following me. Right? He can't be. So, crazy redneck red truck guy, let's not meet ever. Ever again.
Hello. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, make sure to like and subscribe, and leave a comment letting me know what types of videos you'd like to see and what you thought of this video. Also, if you enjoyed Nico Wonderdust's or Lillie C Nation's narrations, be sure to check out their YouTube channels so you can see more of their work. Have a good night.